Welcome to Community Involvement with Leroy Davis. I'm your host, and we have Mrs. Booth with us, and Mrs. Booth is going to be talking about vaccines and different things. And this is a valley thing. It's not just a Phoenix City, Russell County thing, but it's a tri-county thing. Mrs. Booth, would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Laquita Booth, and I'm project lead for the Vaccine Equity Initiative.
Okay.
And it's through Enrichment Services Program, which is located in Columbus, Georgia. But we're concentrating on 3 pilot sites: Russell County, Troup County, and Stewart County.
Okay.
And what we want to do is to increase the awareness about adult vaccines and actually have more adults get vaccinated. It is a way to save lives, and that ought to be what we're about.
Right. And we're not just talking about the pandemic. We're talking about all different types of vaccines. So would you speak on that?
We include pneumonia, we include shingles, we include all of those hepatitis that might put you at risk as you get older. And we do talk a lot about the virus, and we do try to get people to understand how deadly that is. So that vaccine is pretty much still one of the ones that we talk about.
And that's great. And I want the people to understand that today is a select few people are invited to attend this particular program, and you're going to see the second half of it in our show. But Ms. Booth is so kind to come to us, and we surely appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me. This is great exposure, not only for the program, but for what we're trying to do. And again, I come back to having our community have more health, having our community more aware of where they can get vaccines, and that the fact that the vaccines actually exist.
And that's a good thing, and it's for the Chattahoochee Valley. But the most important thing, I think, is getting people back to realizing that we're not just started to take vaccines. We've been taking vaccines just to go to school and everything else. Yeah. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, there are so many myths out there about vaccines. And if you think about it, most of us have had vaccines all of our lives. And I think the other thing that really concerns me is when people say, I don't know what's in the vaccine. And I think about all the medicine we take, all the shots we've had. When we go to the hospital, God forbid that we have to, we never know everything that they're giving us. So there's an element of trust that comes with this, and in trusting messengers that we believe, whether that's our clergy, whether it's people in our community that's shown that they're on our sides. These are the ones that we need to listen to, as opposed to those that are just coming up saying things that could be really crazy.
Right. And I just want to say also, we want to thank our host today who's hosting this program, Franchise Missionary Baptist Church, and Dr. Raymond Cochran. But we'll be back with the second half of the enrichment program here at Franchise Missionary Baptist Church.
Looking forward to it, and thank you.
You're welcome.
I pulled out the vaccination rate for Russell County, and this was from the CDC. And this is specifically for COVID. And basically what it shows is that 41% of the population is fully vaccinated. But when you start getting to populations older than 18, it's 48%, and about 72% of those that are over 65. So we have good coverage, but still there is an opportunity to get better coverage than what we have already. Now this data probably is about a month old, but I think that you'll find it still sort of hovers around that. So what are some of the project site activities? And Russell County will be a project site. We're going to work to develop strategies and action plans to address local vaccine disparities. And with this, we have agencies that will be able to provide technical support if the teams in the individual counties believe that they need that. Participate in monthly learning community meetings where we talk about barriers and solutions. And the positive here is that when you participate in these groups, and we've got to work out exactly how we're going to do that, but you hear from other locations as it relates to what they're doing. It's peer learning, and I think we probably learn more from each other than we do from other people telling us how to do things. And to participate in the project evaluation and lessons learned. What have we done to date? Well, this started in February. We assembled a community action team. We facilitated the first meeting. We collected information on challenges and barriers. And we have now selected the 3 initiatives or evidence-based strategies that have been recommended by the National Project Advisory Committee. And again, I'll talk about those in a second. The one thing that we found out is that there's no silver bullet. There's no one thing that is we can put forth that addresses the individual needs of all counties. But one that we found that has really been effective is trusted messengers. And those are the people in the community that other people believe. They include people with lived experiences as vaccine champions, volunteers at events, and those that can provide leadership as it relates to COVID vaccine efforts. We utilize trusted messengers in a coordinated approach with traditional healthcare providers. And we also use these champions for outreach. When I think about who I trust in the community, we always come back to our faith-based community, and we generally come back to our educational community. And when we started talking about subgroups, and this has nothing at all to do with men in the room, the first thing I thought about, I have got to get me some ladies. Because when we roll up our sleeves, I believe we can get anything done. So as we talk about trusted advisors or messengers, I also want you to think about who are the trusted messengers in your community or in your subset. One of the other strategies is to increase access to vaccination and vaccination sites. And what we found here is a lot of times the places that offer the vaccinations close at 5 o'clock or during business hours. Well, if you work all day, it's awfully difficult to get to a place that closes at 5 or 6 o'clock if you get off from work at 5 o'clock. Additionally, they might not be in a location that's accessible to you. The assumption is made that everybody has a car, that everybody can get anywhere at any time, and we find that that's not true. And a lot of times for women, especially women that have children, we have to find somebody to keep the kids while we go and do other things. And that includes vaccinations. So we want to look at accessibility to vaccinations and to vaccine shots. And of course, we want to try to start to disseminate accurate information. There is so much misinformation out there about what the vaccine does, what the vaccine causes, what the vaccine won't do, and what the vaccine will do. I often hear people say things like, well, I don't know what's in it. And I would guarantee you, if they've ever been to the doctor, to the hospital, or taken any medication, they don't know what's in it. So, when we hear people say that, it's not that I'm downplaying their fears, it's just that we have to get them more accurate information. And we're going to use a number of approaches with this. We're going to try to provide the people that we've talked about, the trusted messengers, with the type of information that they feel would work best in their communities. We had a project schedule, and this is sort of just showing you what we've been doing. But now I'd like to stop talking and to ask a few questions, especially about barriers and challenges. All of you have worked in some way in the community in a health-related activity. So if I could, Can I start with you, Ms. Bellamy?
Sure.
Can you just talk a little bit about some of the barriers that you found when you talked to people about vaccinations?
Well, I'll share with you, because Russell County School System, Ms. Thompson, and the federal specialist, Ms. Kimball, something you've already covered, trust. Do you trust the messenger? And how you build that trust with the messenger. And another is accessibility. Sometimes, that's why this was overall important, because sometimes when we have new projects, everything starts and ends and developed and is served out of the city, the urban area, even though it's for the entire county, whether it's Russell, Lee, Muskogee, or whatever. So people have to travel, and again, that assumption about a car. When we were canvassing, Ms. Mahoney and I, in a particular housing development here in the city, and they're providing summer meals, and the assumption is because it's provided in the housing, it should be easy for them to go get it. Well, we heard from those members, yes, I don't have a car. Yes, I can walk to the site, but I have 2 babies and 2 of my children in school, and I want meals for all 4, and I can't carry all the bags. And when I go back to get additional bags, they tell me I've already been there. So that's a frustration on her part that she's not being served. And you're not supposed to discriminate. That's one of the things too. So, transportation. We don't have public transportation in Russell County. Even the buses that are for the seniors, that is really not in the county. It's not in the city really either, but it's definitely not in the county. So transportation is the #1 issue. Everything that I've ever served on, talk at the table, whatever, it always goes back for Russell County, transportation. Transportation.
All right, thank you so much. What about you? What barriers have you encountered?
I agree with Ms. Bellamy. You know, the transportation is one of the barriers or one of the challenges that we are all encountering, given that Russell County is, you know, the poverty level of Russell County, especially in the rural areas, you know, where there is barely no resources at all. And one thing I wanted to point out too is resources to the family, to the parents itself. If the less educated parents, I'm talking about, you know, not as an education wise, but they don't have the precise resources as to why these vaccines are important. What can they do to better off the kids' health that we need to also provide to the families, of course, and the parents.
So the importance of putting together something that you could leave with them?
Yes.
Or disseminating information in some way?
Right, disseminating information, yes,
The
ma'am.
vaccines would be extremely important. The one thing about transportation, we probably can't provide it, but what we can do is that there are mobile vans that we do have access to that can provide the vaccines. And what we're trying to do is, again, not just talk about COVID, but to have them provide all of the vaccines when they come around to a given site. So it's people like you that we will trust to say, this is a good location, this is a good site. As I was driving up to the church, my grandfather was a minister so many years ago until, I don't even want to tell you how old I am, but anyway, Nazareth Baptist Church, Reverend Biggins, he started that church. That was my mom's dad. And I think about Women's Day. I think about Men's Day. These are wonderful opportunities to have the van out there. Of course, you announce it in advance that it will be there, but you know, this is a time to say not only are we celebrating the women and the men in our church, we're also celebrating your lives. We're celebrating the fact that we want you here another 20, 30, or 50 years from now. So, you know, I sort of thought about that as another way to make sure that services are available to the population that we are serving. Yes, ma'am.
Again, I want to tell my age Years ago, you know, they went to school.
Say it louder, Miss Lindsay. A retired educator, and now she's the parental involvement coordinator for Phoenix City Schools. Say it a little bit louder.
Like I said, they went to the school. And I know when I was in school, I took classes.
I did too, so we're all showing our age. I grew up in rural Lee County, and the elementary school was just right across the street from where I lived. We didn't call it the street, the road from where I lived. And they would send the people, and that's what we call them, the people from Auburn University. That's what we call them. And during the summer, they would come every year, and out of my mother or my aunts, we knew that they would be there in their yard, out of our yard, because my mom had 11 kids, and then my aunt had like 15, and then the other, but we would meet there, people from Auburn University, and we would line up, and that's how we got our vaccines for whatever it was, and got that little hard blue card, and you know, because which one left the ring on? Which shot was that left that ring?
Smallpox.
Yeah. See, in my generation, we took the smallpox shot. Yeah. So that's the one that left.
Yeah.
But we always wanted that little sugar cube. See?
For polio.
See?
Yeah.
See? Didn't know what it was. You talking about information. We didn't know. We didn't know. As kids, we didn't know. And probably our parents didn't know. But we knew to trust the people from Auburn University and Pastor Morris and Mr. Mitchell, who was the principal, because they were there. We knew to trust those two people to get in line, plus our parents, otherwise we're going to get a whooping, and get in line and just get that little sucker, that little sugar cube, and this thing that really hurt in their muscle shot. But see, that's not there anymore, Miss Lindsay.
Dr. Parker?
Yeah, let me answer the question right now. Before I answered, I went to a little school in Selma, Alabama, Selma University. Said, now, speak little and do much. I don't do a lot of talk, I get it going. There's all churches around you talking about transportation. I'm going to answer your question. There's 2 vans out there, and every church around you, we talking about a community affair. That you ought to send message to the church that you have a place, and like Miss Bellman said, wants to walk. Get these vans, ask the church. Now you won't get all of them, but I'm speaking of this church. I don't have to have no need, no comfort. Just get somebody to drive that know how to drive them vans and pick up folks who need to be picked up. And it can be done. I know this church will do it, and I believe others, because we're talking about an involvement with everybody. That means that, hey, it just ain't not just Chris, y'all wearing a mask and we don't. I'm wearing a mask too. And I don't, it's for all of us, for franchise members, everybody member. And that will solve your problem. That's one problem we have. If you don't have transportation, we got it right at our nose right now.
Okay.
The Bible said, ask, and it what? Shall be given. That's all I'm doing. See?
You talked about the schools, but I have to come back to that because during that time, things weren't as controversial as they are now. So we can't go into the schools and say we're going to give a kid a shot. And it's sad, but it's also true. I was talking with the public relations person at Kia at the plant, and she said something I thought was very interesting. I was talking to her about what we wanted to do and how she could help. And she said, we have a clinic, which they do, which employs nurses and I guess some doctors, but she said, we have given the shot to everybody who wants it. And that rang in my mind because I'm asking myself, how do you know they have enough information to know if they want it?
All right.
But that's not a question that they ask. That's a question that we will have to ask and we will have to answer. Because I would almost guarantee you there are people in that shop that go to work that they don't know the benefits or the dangers of not getting the shot.
Okay.
There are people there who have grandparents and great-grandparents and live in the house with them that really don't know the danger that they're putting them in. So when she said, we've given it to everyone who wants a shot, that's sort of what came to mind. So, and I don't know if that's dissemination of information. I don't know if it's trusted messenger, but I do know that we have to go dig deeper and go farther than the public relations person. And I'm not mad at Honda or Kia, but I think we have to go farther than Kia is willing to go.
Amen.
I'm keeping an eye on my time because I want to be invited back. Some of the expectations of the steering committee is to act as an advocate, to help set the strategic direction, to participate in at least 75% of the meetings, to provide feedback, to respond to requests for feedback, to make decisions, and to help resolve issues. And I always come back to what does success look like. I like to start with the end in mind. If I know what I'm trying to accomplish, it helps me get there. But the success here is increased vaccination rates, increased trust among customers and partners, and provide positive messaging around COVID-19 and other vaccines. See, I think if we do the second and the third, then the first has a better chance of occurring. So I'm going to ask, since Reverend has already said, you know, you don't get unless you ask. So I'm asking, because I really would like to establish a committee here that we could add to, that will go help us serve Russell County. So, any volunteers? Or how many volunteers? Ms. Bellman is pointing out volunteers. Lady at my own heart. Okay, I'll get your names. And this does not have to be a long-term commitment, okay? This started out as a 6-month project. Because we got started late, I think they'll probably extend it another 6 months. But this is not a forever project. So the time that you will be spending with this, we'll be doing things like identifying sites where we might be able to take a van. Taking a look at brochures or flyers that we put together to see if it addresses the needs of the community as you know that community. To talk about other trusted messengers that perhaps we have not identified. To talk about maybe some other solutions that we've not thought about. So those are some of the things that we would want a committee like this to do. Most of our meetings will either be Zoom, if that's your preference, or will be in person. And if it is in person, we try to do it around the lunch hour, because even if you work, you have to go to lunch at some point in time. And if we do it in person, we will provide lunch. Now, that's probably the only freebie you're going to get, except thank you very much for all of your hard work. And I'm sure all of you are accustomed to that one. So, are there any questions? I know I've been talking a lot. Any questions? Anybody? Chelsea, why don't you talk to them a little bit about what we are proposing. I will give you a lead-in. The Urban League is celebrating its 50th, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Anniversary. And what I've asked Chelsea to do as part of that 50th anniversary is to have the young professionals do an initiative that will talk about vaccines and talk about COVID and talk about their fears, and to design a program that they think that they would relate to. I don't have the slightest idea how this group thinks, okay? They're way beyond anything that I thought about. But they know, So I also talked to her about maybe having a contest between various factions within the Urban League, and whoever comes up with the best plan, maybe we can give them a prize. And that's the other thing I'd like the committee to think about, or people who want to serve on that committee, is what kind of incentives can we give? Again, we can't give a car. We can't do a raffle with $1 million, as some of the governors did. But maybe a $50 card to Walmart. Maybe that might be something that the people that you work with or serve or know would find useful.
A gas card.
Yes.
Well, probably when I say a card, hopefully it can be used for gas or Walmart. So I sort of wanted to bring that up. Okay, Chelsea, you got the floor.
Okay, so we're really in the early stages of our planning. We just don't want to put a plan together. We want to put a strategic plan together while planning this. If you don't know about Urban League, we serve the underserved population, not only in Muskogee County, but Russell County, Leach County, Chattahoochee County. So we serve those populations. So we really don't have much at the moment, but when we do, I'll come back to you guys and share what we have from a young professional standpoint that we can better serve the community.
Thank you, Chelsea. So I have 2 volunteers. Now that I've done my disclaimer, does anybody else want to volunteer? Or do you know anyone who you would like to volunteer? We only need maybe 4 or 5 people. It doesn't have to be a large group. But I also want those of you who are not volunteering to know that the ones that are volunteering will be back in touch with you. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I'm volunteering.
Oh, good.
I have a full-time job, as a coordinator, and I have a family too, but I am willing to do as much as I can to help you guys.
That's great.
I'll help you with brochure and flyer dissemination and collecting data as to community events. I can also help you with that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The school is just like the government messed up. Uncle Frank used to say, hell breakfast. But the church is not. Y'all get that? The church is all you have. That's by the people and for the people. We're not government funded. We're friends of this church here is run by tithe and offering. You can't stop nothing from going on in the community. That's where I pastor church, okay? So we're going to have to use, I heard you mention my favorite person, up from slavery by Booker T. Washington. Yep. Cast down your bucket where you are. Yep. You have the church. Read the book of Acts. We got to go back to the church. We can't get in the school. We got to get these folks to the church and get this out. There's no such thing as I can. We ain't going to let the devil stop us from doing what the mission that we all do. Now, I got enough on me now, and my people don't want me to take, but I'll get that to Noble. And, well, it'd be best if he could talk to him, our president.
Okay, I can do that.
Or the ministers allowed. And we get him to set up, work out something. I'm taking a step with Bella. I'll tell you what I want you to do. Get her, and I can tell her that's a workaholic there. She'll do all these people from franchise work. Now, I want you to get this young lady and call Reverend Noble William at Mount Zion Church. He's the president. And get the information where I can get it out. All the churches, what you want us to do. Whether you want to have a meeting here or there, it needs to be decided by the president of the Ministerial Association. How about that?
What I love about him, he knows how to delegate. Ms. Bellamy, this is what I want you to do. Thank you, sir.
She don't do it. And you stay in touch with her now, and let We got to have shakers and movers. I tell you what, I still like that sign. Speak little and do much. That's why this church has been blessed. I don't do a lot of talk. I just want to do what I said we're going to do. And, you know, you got to move. And God will help us to move. Because you moved in the right direction. We're having I've buried so many people from this church, you know. The pandemic gets to me. People that you love. I've been here over 50 years. And whatever we can do to get it to people to know that there's a whole lot of negative stuff. You know, you said that. And I just want to say amen to that. It ain't no good. And some people have told me that died of the pandemic. I mean, you know, negativism will kill a lot of folks. You got some positive stuff here. We've got to, I believe God wants us to save our people from this. And we can do, I tell you what, he ain't gonna take it away from us right now. In the wilderness, there was snake biting the people. And they went to Moses, and Moses tell them, pray to God to take them away. Moses prayed to God. God said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give a remedy. So I'm going to put a blazing serpent. I'm in the book. I know y'all ain't allowed through their government. Ain't nobody going to stop me from talking. They put it in the book. Said, now I'll tell you what. Get a blazing serpent, hang it up. And when you're bitten by a serpent, just look. And you know some of those folks rather die than to just look at that serpent. God is not going to take this away from us. We're going to have to teach the folk what God said do, that those who want to live, am I saying something that interests y'all? You better listen to what I'm saying. Don't you let nobody tell you this going, if this going away, it's going to be something worse. You're going to have this because the world is going crazy. And God is getting tired of the way we're living. And we got to turn that, we got to come back to the church. And you need build, don't see we got a whole building here. What you going to do with it? I tell you, we're going to help the folk with it. Am I right, franchise? We're going to help the folk with it. We need it. I have a lot of folks where we got this building, good building, paid for. The Holy Ghost kept moving till her husband, Deacon Bellman, Judge Bellman, and the pastor keep talking about building another building. He got the message and gave it to the people. Now you see now, don't see how comfortable this building is? Air conditioning on. This is what I saw back then, and the people didn't see it. But that's what leaders got to do, stand out loud. I see what we need, and we could get that together and get the people here, wherever Nova said, and I'm willing to work with you 100%.
That's all I need. Thank you so much. Okay, I think it's nearing my time, but I did want to say thank you. I will be in touch with everyone who is on this list, and probably some of you who didn't sign up, I'll still be in touch with you. But please give some thought to barriers as you talk to people, and also some remedies. Places where we might go, places where we might talk, places where we can find inspiration in other people like us that want to go out and actually do something positive to help our people live.
Mrs. Booth, we want to thank you for coming out and just inviting us, Ms. Bellamy, to come out. This is a new show called the Community Involvement. And one of the things, we loved everything you was talking about, and we hope the people will receive it.
Yeah.
Now, it was one thing you said that I thought about. I didn't say anything, but I waited till now to say it. Okay. Our student body government, we can get them involved in school with the young leaders of the Urban League. We may be able to get into the schools and get into the kids so they can take information home with them and get it to the parent. But we need to get the student body government involved. We also want to thank the people who are involved, the Russell County District Attorney's Office. We want to thank enrichment program, and Franchise Missionary Baptist Church. But we also want to thank these young women who drove all the way from Birmingham and Bessemer, Alabama to be a part of this. And you can see the direction in which we're trying to move into our communities, and especially our, I would say, urban communities that's way out and everything. They really need the help. And with you guys coming together like this, we know that it's vital and that you care. And we just got to bring more people in. And I'll tell you this, from my experience, women will work.
Yeah.
You will get more volunteers from women than you will men. So,
But we're not gonna give up on y'all.
but don't give up. You got some of us that'll work. So again, we want to thank you for allowing us to shoot this, and you can see it on Beam TV 7 here in Phoenix City, or channel 27, and you can see it on Beam TV, Beam 7 YouTube. Okay? And thank you again for allowing us to shoot.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Thank you, Pastor.